I will call the meeting of the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority to order. And first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular HRA meeting of August 18th, 2014.
I'll move the minutes of August 18, 2014.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And consideration of Richfield consideration of approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the existing agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're doing the consideration of the Richfield HRA tax increment district status update. Mr. Stark?
Yes, thank you, Chair Sandall and Commissioners. On an annual basis, the HRA is presented with an annual tax increment district status update. The short story is that the HRA will be able to meet all of its pay-as-you-go note and general obligation tax increment bond obligations. We've got the report in your packet that gives the detail, and we have Rebecca Kurtz from Ehlers & Associates, who's our TIF analyst, financial analyst, to provide you with some more detail. So thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Rebecca Kurtz from Ehlers. And I think that John gave a pretty good summary of the overall message this evening, and that is that the HRA will be able to meet all of its tax increment pay-as-you-go and bond obligations as we move forward under current projections. I'm going to spend just a little bit of time on a couple districts and highlight as we go through here, but just as a reminder, the HRA does have three types of obligations. Pay-as-you-go notes, which are obligations that you pay only to the extent that increment is available. You do have two tax increment bonds that are general obligation bonds, where if the increment was not sufficient to pay the debt service, you would be able, or you would be required to levy taxes or find some source to pay those obligations. One of those bonds is the Best Buy bonds, and then the second one is the Kensington Park. There is one GO bond issue with that. And then you have several interfund loans, and you will have noticed in the packet or report that they have, several of them have an up to amount. And again, as a reminder, those are obligations that are put in place, or the structure is put in place many times when you start a tax increment district and you adopt a loan with the maximum that you're willing to or planning to provide and then reimburse through TIF. However, the outstanding amount of those interfund loans may not be equal to the maximum because of where you are at in the district. A lot of times it may be for administrative costs or some demolition, and while you may adopt a loan for $300,000, up to this point you may have only spent $150,000. But again, those are mainly for your protection, that it does allow you to reimburse yourself to the extent you choose so when increment is available. It's one of the requirements by the Office of the State Auditor. Currently, the city has 9 tax increment districts that are outstanding and certified. There also is the 10th, or the district that was adopted this spring on the garage site. That has not been certified yet, so we haven't started the clock ticking on that 26-year period because we are waiting to identify a developer, and we want to make sure that we can maximize the years of tax increment. As you go through, I'm not going to go through every district. Like I said, for the most part, you are able to meet all of your obligations. I do want to just spend a couple minutes and highlight the Lindale Gateway West TIF district. This is also the Kensington, or known as the Cornerstone District. Under our current projections, as you know, in the past, we have been watching this, and we will be able to, or are anticipating that we'll be able to meet the obligations for the general obligation TIF bond that is outstanding. At the time the district is decertified, we are projecting sufficient increment to cover all of the debt service obligations. However, there are a couple years in the middle where we may need to find other sources or do an interfund loan to cover that payment. And then at the end of the district, because the obligations end sooner than the district decertifies, we would then reimburse ourselves. So the net at the end is that we would be able to pay the bond payment through the tax increment, but we might need to do a loan in there in the interim to cover a couple years of TIF, depending on how market values and tax rates are and where the increment is as we get closer to that.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So essentially, it's a cash flow issue, but at the end, we will have enough?
Yes, for the bond, part of the bond obligation, it is a cash flow issue. With the timing of the way the increment has decreased because market values have decreased, the bond obligations or annual payments are set, so it becomes a cash flow issue that we are projecting under current market values and tax rates that there may not be sufficient to pay that year's debt service. However, because the term of the TIF district exceeds the term of the bonds, you could use that from the end of the district to reimburse and pay yourself.
Okay, thank you.
However, related to that, we have been watching the interfund loan that was outstanding, and we are still, based again on current projections, not anticipating that we would be able to pay both principal and interest on the interfund loan. So any additional money can be put toward that interfund loan payment, but we may not make ourselves whole with principal and interest based on current market values and tax rates.
Can I just interrupt, because I want, just a quick question for staff then. When we do those those loans to cover that, first of all, does it look like we'll have those dollars, and are we restricted to what dollars we can use? Because we have been saving some of our LGAs and other dollars around, but is it only HRA money, and to what extent can we use other sources?
Well, I think it varies from loan to loan and how they were set up. I would say with this particular one, and maybe either Mert or Rebecca could remind me, the interfund loan, was that from the bonds of 1996? Yes. So in this case, the source of the funds was the bond, what was called the bonds of 1996, which the HRA legal counsel was telling us at that point in time, city, you either need to spend this now or you're going to lose it because of law changes and different things. So that was money we were, in some respect, it was kind of found money. It was money that if we didn't find a way to spend it on something like this, we were likely going to lose. Secondly, we did know the risk on this one, maybe more so than others, that it was a skinnier deal. There was a less likelihood of that one getting paid back than a lot of what we'd done in the past. And in 2000, 2001, 2002, when we were talking with the city council and HRA about it, we did try to make that understood. But how you can repay the interfund loan is dependent on how it's set up. Is that correct?
That is correct. And as I said, we're continuing to monitor this every year. It changes some. So as we see market values continue to increase, that is going to help solve the potential issue. We also will continue to look at, as we move forward in time, opportunities to either use pooling or money from other TIF districts possibly.
I remember when we've done some of that and saved quite a few dollars. Would this particular one be allowed to be pooled?
To a certain extent, yes. And that will also depend on the increment available in other districts that would be contributing to the pooling. So we're continuing. I guess the short answer is we don't have a final answer on how it will be made whole in the end. I can't stand up here tonight and promise you it will be made whole of principal and interest, but we are continuing to watch that and are looking for opportunities that, to the extent we can make it whole or reduce the amount that is not paid in principal and interest, we will be doing that.
And with regards to pooling, correct me if I'm wrong, but there isn't a limit to how much we can pool into this district. There is a limit on how much all the other districts can pool out.
Okay.
So they can each pool out up to 10%. Is that right?
It depends on the type of
10 to
district,
15%.
between 10 or up to 25. And so then at the 25%, it also begs some discussion on, you know, you could use the money toward this or toward
that,
something
yeah.
else.
What do you want to use it for? And where is
Right.
it most needed or most
Ex-
useful?
Exactly. And so I think that with this district, we'll continue to monitor it. It will be a continued discussion, not only at the annual update that you receive, but as other opportunities may come available, you know, we will bring those back to you.
And can I just make one caveat, because I read this report again today, just going back over so I'd have it fresh in my mind. In the beginning, and especially I think for our new commissioners, I just need for you, when you put those 9 tax increment districts up, to put a descriptor after them. I know I've asked for this before, but I really need
we
those
should have the map.
descriptors. And we have them
Is
on
that-
all
is
of
that-
them. I've asked for this
Oh, yeah.
before, but it really makes it hard, so I have to go read, okay, what was this one for? Oh, yeah, that one was Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm
And-
not gonna
yeah.
remember Interchange District was Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm just
We'll
not.
take care of that. You know, and all
Okay.
these, that's why we hate giving names to things in the beginning, because
I
the names
know.
change 10 times. So
Well,
we
and I
will
just
try
need to know what it
yeah.
is, if it has something that I can easily identify with the Lindale Garden site or something like that. It focused, oh, yeah, and I remember this, so.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, any further questions, discussion?
Any other concerns that we have?
No, there are no other concerns. Just, I guess my final item to be aware is that with both the Cedar Point TIF district and then the Lindale Gardens, and now with the 2014 TIF for the garage site district that was established this year, again, we have interfund loans outstanding with those, mostly for some admin and upfront costs, demolition for the garage site, and with that, at some point, we will be watching and hoping for development sooner or later, because that development will be needed in order to make the payments and pay off those interfund loans. But with that, like I said, in the report, there was a list of the districts that have been decertified since we began doing this. There has been 6, which I think is an accomplishment. You have definitely, over the years, increased the tax capacity of the city because of your redevelopment efforts. And then on page 16, there's a summary of the Housing and Redevelopment Fund. It does have a balance of just shy of 1.7 million right now to help with redevelopment efforts. Again, that is TIF, and so there are some restrictions on how it can be used, but it is redevelopment money. And then the final page includes a map that summarizes where those districts are. So with that, I am happy to answer any other questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
No, it just looks like a lot's gonna come off in just a little more than 10 years. That will be really impactful for the city.
So, okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
Do we
coming.
need to make a motion for acceptance?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the updated report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, Mr. Stark.
Yes, actually, I'm going to ask Karen Barton, the Assistant Community Development Director, to provide this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This item is a public hearing regarding consideration of the approval of the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority's 5-year Public Housing Authority Plan. The Department of Housing and Urban Development requires that the Housing Authority develop a 5-year Public Housing Authority Plan, or PHA plan, every 5 years. In order to remain compliant with HUD, after development of the PHA plan, it had to be reviewed by a resident advisory board that solicited comments and feedback from tenants. And then tonight, a public hearing must be held and the PHA plan approved by the HRA. Upon approval of the PHA plan by the HRA tonight, it will then be forwarded to HUD. The Richfield HRA operates the Public Housing Authority and Section 8 program to assist in providing affordable housing for approximately 320 families in the city of Richfield. This affordability allows the families to be able to live in decent and safe housing that they might otherwise not be able to afford financially. Annually, the HRA does receive approximately $1,165,000 in rental assistance payments through this program, and about $144,000 in administrative payments to run the program. Failure to approve the PHA plan will result in receiving a non-compliant status from HUD, and therefore we would lose the rental assistance and the administrative payments if we do not approve the plan. Notice of the public hearing and availability of, to review the plan was published on July 31st, 2014 in the Sun Current, as required by HUD. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this issue? Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
I will second. Any further discussion on closing the public hearing? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So now we have before us the item to approve the Housing and Redevelopment Authority's 5-year Public Housing Authority Plan for the Section 8 Housing Assistance Program and authorize the chair and executive director to execute program documents. And I will make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay. Open for discussion.
Just want to know if staff has anything that they wanted to point out in the updated plan that was specific that we hadn't seen before?
I don't think that there's anything significant in the administration of the plan or the number of certificates that we get. I will note that the PHA, Richfield PHA has been recognized by HUD several years in a row for being well-run. One of the things that I will point out, though, is that the administrative fees that we receive to run the program have been decreasing every year, although the number of vouchers have not. So it's been challenging to keep this program running, and it you know, will have to be subsidized to some degree by the city.
And we discussed that with our congressman this morning.
Yes, we did. When
Yeah.
the sequestration happened, we never got some back payments, did we? Besides the fact that they cut the budget on us, and it doesn't cover everything.
So he gave you his assurance that that deficit will be corrected?
He's working on it. Didn't give us assurance he could correct it, but he's working on it.
And I'm
He's
sure, if I might, you know, it is disappointing that, you know, the city has a great program, it benefits a lot of people, but to have to operate it at a deficit is disappointing. You know, that we're subsidizing the federal government and you know, I know from staff standpoint, that this is something that you feel strongly about, and it you know, you feel it's worthwhile to continue, but, you know, things can't operate indefinitely at a loss.
Mhm.
What is our loss on an annual basis?
Yes, we had a study session on this back in March, and we were talking about a number being somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 a year. Through the budgeting process, we were able to, you know, find some more places to get lean and move things around. So right now, I believe my recollection is for 2014, the number is $15,000, and 2015, the number is $10,000. And you know, we are still working with the HUD staff on seeing them make some administrative changes on their side too. So it's still possible that we can get this cut down to a fairly nominal amount. That's our hope.
Okay.
Another question, if I may. John, by virtue, this is a 5-year plan, is what we're doing tonight, locking it in for 5 years?
No, not in that respect, because for the next 4 years, we'll have to address it from a budgetary standpoint on an annual basis.
Mhm. There's always room for change then.
Okay. Any further comments? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the HRA discussion items. Is there anyone that wishes to bring a topic up at this point?
I don't have anything.
I hurried back so that we can talk about this weekend's events.
Please.
On Saturday, the bike advocates and the farmers market people are putting together a program whereby all kinds of things are happening at Richfield's farmers market. Target generously donated 2 kids' bikes that will be part of a drawing and a giveaway. Commuter Services is going to be there and promote biking by giving away a jersey. Penn Cycle, a Richfield native, will have professionals on hand to tweak and tune and improve bicycles. And those people who bike to the market on Saturday will get a discount certificate for things that they might buy at the market. In addition to all that the bikers are doing, this combines with the Wheel Fund operation that's doing their annual pumpkin patch with hay rides and inflatables. And to attract a crowd and to be a real crowd pleaser, they are providing some 4 bicycle peddler series that will be racing. The race course is somewhat limited, so if you can visualize 4 people pushing those heavy bikes geared low as fast as they can on the grass, because we're limited as to where we could go because of administration dictates. And we're limited on the grass we can use because that area has just been recently resodded. But we're going to zoom down the course, visualize those bikes going, people pedaling at top speed. As they get toward the end, visualize the parachute deploying to slow them down. And this body, I trust, will be there and be pedaling one of the bikes in one of the events. So I'm taking names. That's only a prelude to what's happening on Sunday, where the community is having their open street event on Penn Avenue that will be closed from the crosstown to 75th Street. And this event will be bigger and better than it has been in the past. Lots of good things happening. What's neat about Open Streets and PennFest is the spontaneity that an event like that creates, where people just automatically get up and do things. So look for the flash mob. There'll be pickleball on the street for those of you who might have heard me promote that in the past. And biking is certainly rampant in a stretch of 12 blocks of Richfield. So lots of good things happening in the weekend in Richfield.
And can you tell me what time the pickleball will be?
The pickleball will be going the entire noon to 4 period.
Okay, and what location?
It is near Lund's, near the complimentary root beer floats.
Okay.
And what about the bike races and stuff? What time is that?
The bike races are from 8 to noon.
8 to noon. Okay. Oh, the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have one other item, and that is the, coming up, if you want to get it on your calendars early, so you make sure that you keep that date open. October 5th, will be a fundraising and performing arts tribute to try and raise funds for the Richfield Band Shell. That's October 5th from 2 to 5. That'll be at the Richfield High School. Admission is free, and there's all sorts of wonderful events that are going to happen during that period of time. The mayor will be welcoming everyone at 2 o'clock, and then the high school band, the Holy Angels Band, City of Lakes, Sweet Adelines. We have Just for Kicks dance performers, Minnesota's First Family of Music, the Peterson family will be there. The Richfield Symphonic Band and Northern Winds Concert Band, and the Richfield Recreation Dance Company. Plus, if you want to see what the new band shell might look like, we will have some drawings for you to check out and give us some feedback. So that should be a great event. It's going to hopefully help raise some additional funds for the band shell, and it'll be a wonderful evening or wonderful afternoon on a Sunday. So mark it on your calendars. So anything else that we want to talk about here as part of the HRA? Okay. Executive Director's Report. Mr. Stark?
No, I don't have anything to report tonight.
Okay. And claims and payrolls.
So moved.
It's probably sitting on my front of my chair.
Underneath your financial stuff.
Thank you. There it is. I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and we have nothing else to come before us, so we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go.